Dallas dead.
Rest in peace.
Cowboy.
Oh, fuck.
Cowboy.
Oh, hit me with it. Oh, it feels so good. All my people down in Texas, no one believed in us. Dallas said we weren't going to win the series.
Real women come equipped.
Jay said we weren't going to win the series.
Chill like Flint.
Joey said we weren't going to win the series.
I said we were going to make the playoffs. Bro, you kidding me?
All I said was not only were we going to win the series, the Rays weren't even going to win a fucking game. Here we are, 2 days later. The Rays almost didn't even score a run. They didn't even almost score a run. Dallas was talking about the pitching. Oh, Jason Evaldi's hurt. Oh, Jason Evaldi. How about a fucking all-star shove it down your throat performance by Nate? How about that, Dallas? Oh, it's a great day to be a Rangers fan. It is a great day to be a Rangers fan. Oh, any words from you fucking morons? Nothing?
I think we can agree on one thing, and you know,
What's that?
I've talked a lot of shit about the Rangers didn't win, the Rays lost,
That's not true
and
at
it's
all.
not taking anything about the Rangers, but
You just
that
did.
must-
You just took something away from the. You just took it away from the Rangers by saying that the Rays lost the series. The Rangers didn't win.
I mean, but like, let's be honest,
Mm-hmm.
the Rays lost. To get
I will
eliminated
say
in front of 19,000 people in your own stadium, I mean,
That's tough.
Rays
That
lost.
game yesterday was one of the worst playoff performances I've ever seen from a team in the Rays yesterday.
The Siri
The
defense.
Siri-
Yeah, the
yeah.
4 error
Well, I mean, Jay, they picked a fine time to record the most errors they've ever recorded in a playoff game, right? I mean, that's fun. That's great.
Mhm.
It's not like they have an extremely long lineage of postseason appearances. But
That's not true. They're there all the time.
no, I'm not talking like they've got a 50-year track record.
Yeah, no.
No, but when you say the most errors they've ever committed in a postseason game, I mean, at first it kind of grabs you like, oh my God, like that's an incredible amount. And I'm not saying that it's not, but that's a hell of a time to have the biggest defensive collapse you've ever experienced. Is obviously the most important game of your season right here, right now, game 1. And oh man,
Was the 9th inning? That was the first time that they
Yeah.
scored a run in the postseason since the 2020 World Series.
Yeah, I think that's what it said. I think that's what it said. The Siri thing. I'll say this. If you look at the angle that he was taking, he initially off the bat probably sees that ball as more of a line drive, even maybe a line drive with topspin. But what happens is that ball ends up knuckling on him and takes a completely different route than he was prepared for. And
Well,
so
what's
he
the
was
excuse for
left.
firing into the fucking dugout.
well, this is what I'm saying. So he was left to have to make a decision. What do I do? Am I caught in between? Because he knows the turf. If I stop here, there's a solid chance that thing bounces up and over my head, and I got to go all the way back to the wall to get that damn thing. So let me just try to throw some leather at it, and then to compound things, yes, he ends up almost taking out the popcorn vendor. And that's never good after you've almost just booted one, right? I mean, so not ideal. The 2-error play, never ideal for an outfielder because you've kicked it and you've almost assaulted somebody in the stands. Probably.
Yeah. I obviously the 3:00 start time on a Tuesday and a Wednesday is not ideal, but it's not an excuse. Like I have been, at least in recent
But
years,
that's where they've been. They played the
I've been
early
a
games.
proponent of the Tampa Bay Rays fan base being like, you know, they're young, they're up and coming. A lot of the Tampa Bay Rays fan base were all New York and Boston and Chicago transplants that moved down to Florida that didn't necessarily give a shit about the Rays, but then they started to plant some roots and had kids, and then those kids grew up as Rays fans. So like I still think that it's coming, but to Joey's tweet was eye-opening that the Kansas City Royals in their season finale home game, the 107-loss Royals, had a larger attendance at that game than the Rays did in their playoff games. Like, that's fucking crazy. Like, you can talk to me about like, oh, it's inconvenient to get to the Trop and it was 3:00 on a Tuesday. I get all that. It's the fucking playoffs. Like, you got to show up for the playoffs.
Well, that's the difference between the rabidness of a still budding franchise and one that might have longer roots,
Yeah. But when did the Padres become a team?
deeper roots.
I guess.
Still, but like how many decades do you need to bud?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Well, when we're talking about, when I say that about the Rays specifically, I'm factoring in the long history of the conversation Jared's having right now.
Fuck the Rays.
Like that's the whole. Because they.
No, it's just like I'm perfectly fine being wrong that I picked the Rays, but it's not like I'm gonna miss that team. Like, kind of good riddance. I don't know. I was we talked about the Rangers starting pitching, and to me, that was the thing that stood out most from this.
Yeah, Evaldi planned to have the fucking game of his season, right?
Well,
that's great. That's couldn't have lined up better.
No.
I mean, Evaldi being good for the first time in a long time.
Spent the last decade trying to sabotage Nathan Evaldi's career. Just give him some credit. That was a big boy start for a guy that has a multitude of big boy starts in the playoffs. That's kind of like where he made his name.
I mean, I think the Evaldi thing is big for them in moving forward now that like he looked more right than he has in a long time. But to me, the Jordan Montgomery start was the eye opener, probably the most impressive. I know Nola just dealt, but in some ways, like Montgomery was the most impressive start that I saw so far in the postseason, because like, I don't know, there's just something about when a guy that generates like that level of contact and doesn't strike that many people out is cruising, and it just feels like there's a flow to the dominance. And man, I looked at his last 5 starts. We're talking about a guy with a 0.53 ERA since September 13th. Like, he is fucking dealing, and it's possible that maybe he just is basically the ace that they need. Like, maybe we have been underselling him to some degree, that like, okay, no Scherzer, Evaldi's banged up, John, Gray's on the sideline, but Jordan Montgomery just might be their best pitcher that they've had the whole time.
Well, it's a great time for him to pitch as well as he's pitched. A good time to pitch as well as they need him to pitch. Like, to the idea of him being an ace. I don't know if he's an ace, but he is doing everything you would expect any one of the arms that you don't have. Like, would you take what you got from Montgomery out of DeGrom if DeGrom was here?
I mean, he's giving them length too. That's the other thing.
Absolutely.
He's not
they
like,
need it because of how atrocious the bullpen is. Like,
well,
the
they
fact
both
that
got
they're getting
length.
Yes, like that set the tone for. I mean, I know it's a best of 3, so you can't say, it set the tone for the series when after the first game you're halfway through a sweep. But having those guys go deep into their starts, I mean, that's so invaluable.
Jared, what it allows to happen is if they would have gotten to a game 3, right? However, game 2 was unfolding, they're already afforded a little more flexibility than the other team who did not get 7 innings out of their guy. And that's the difference. And now you get what Evaldi gave you, and you're in a great position with days off moving forward. That's tremendous. And everybody's now firing. Their wheels are greased. Everybody's rolling.
It was such a contrast too with Glasnow being the pitcher that Montgomery faced too, because you've got Jordan Montgomery's, he might be very good, but he's unsexy. And you've got Glasnow, who like we've all been sort of like just slobbering over here for years. And he had the swing and miss in this game. He had 8 strikeouts in 5 innings, but you look at their bottom line, and it felt this way during the game. Glasnow threw 98 pitches and had 11 base runners in 5 innings. and Montgomery threw 5 fewer pitches and got through 2 more innings. And it was just like, you felt the difference while these two guys were going at it. And I don't know. It feels like the Rangers have kind of crested at a good time too, because the offense seems to be largely intact. I know, like Young's return and stuff like that has been talked about for a long time on this podcast, but with
Adolis
him
getting healthy.
and Evan Carter kind of ascending into like a relevant, more than relevant person on that offense. Like,
and defensively.
For sure. It feels like
Mr. 3-2, Mr. Full Count. Is that what you're talking about?
Just feels like we're seeing all of their best offensive or position players playing at the right time. I don't know. Good.
Well, that's exactly what I mean. That's what we talk about all the time. Is these teams, whether or not you are the best team in the postseason right now, you're in the postseason because you're a quality Major League Baseball team, and should you be playing great baseball at the right time, that's where baseball can just happen. Like, wow, what about this club? Well, I tell you what about this club is they were able to win 85, 90 games, and they were able to find their way into a postseason run that allowed them to win every game they needed to. That's how a underdog World Series unfolds, is guys out of the bullpen that maybe you didn't think were going to be able to step up, do step up. You get starts like those two gave you, of all the in Montgomery. Like that right there sets the tone, not for that series, Jared, but it sets the tone for the rest of the postseason. It sets the tone rolling into the DS, and that is massive.
Well, so then, I mean, I think that kind of begs the question now of, we saw the Rangers defense flexed in this brief series. We saw the starting pitching, and we were not overly exposed to the bullpen, which is a good thing. I take away Aroldis Chapman, who I hate, but he has been a notorious postseason choker. He looked good out of the bullpen, but because it's a best of 3 and they swept it in 2, you start to get into these longer series, and now you're going to start to feel the John Gray, the Max Scherzer. Like, it's like, all right, well, after Jordan Montgomery and after Nathan Eovaldi, now what? Like that's going to be the issue with the Rangers moving forward.
I don't know that you can factor in a Max Scherzer here.
No,
I know
I'm just saying, like
that's where you feel his
after
absence.
Those two, what happens?
Pain free.
Oh, no doubt. But the reason I say I don't know that you can factor in a Max Scherzer is because he's already talked about and hinted at. He said, I think after tonight, I think I can see a path, right? I think there may be a path for me to being able to compete. And I mean, I appreciate that, because we all know that Max got that dog in him. There's no questioning that. So where do we go from here? That was why them winning these first 2 games is so important, because they have a chance to reset things, right? There's a good chance that Eovaldi and Montgomery make the first 2 starts of the next series. Why wouldn't that happen? We got days lining up, don't we?
I mean, obviously there's no games Thursday, and then game 1 would be Saturday.
Yep.
Yeah,
and
they're the 1
Montgomery
o'clock
started
game too.
And Montgomery
which
started
sucks.
yesterday, which is what's today? So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Oh no, okay. So I guess he would be so yeah, it would be up to one of the other 3 that they have confidence in to roll into there. Who do you tap?
Dunning.
Is it Heaney? Is it Dunning?
Probably one of the 2, so that you still have Montgomery, Eovaldi games 2 and 3, right? Like, you want them to make as many starts as possible, but I don't know that.
Well, and now here's where, this is where you strategically you start talking about, and I mean, we can get into this. We will get into this a little later. But you're thinking about, do we run Martin Perez out there just to maybe get some righties in there and then back it up?
Would you treat him as an opener?
Well, that's the thing is, in the postseason, is there really such thing as a bona fide starter unless you're getting outings where guys are establishing their stuff early, like a Montgomery, like an Eovaldi, like a Wheeler, like a Noah, unless that's happening, aren't you probably happy with 3 out of a guy like Perez in that situation? 4?
Well, they've been taking Perez out of the bullpen for the past and same with Heaney. So you'd think they're probably
preparing for this stuff, Joe.
Yeah, exactly. But I think they're going to go with Dunning and then have those guys come in after.
Yeah, I mean there's again the idea of strategically figuring out what do you want to do. Do you want to get more left-handers in there by starting Dunning and then coming in with Perez, and you've got a few other lefties that you could roll in there, or do you want to get right-handers in there because maybe you're not as confident in what you think you're going to get from Perez, and you're like, look, if he can get a couple of these guys taken care of through the top, then we can get the righties matched up. And then maybe when they roll the lefties out, we can start to match up again because we don't know if we're going to get 4 out of Dunning or 5 out of Dunning. Who knows? Right? Because, I mean, we saw, as I said, we've seen how early traffic, early contact, regardless of how you're throwing the ball, can scare some folks.
If you guys don't mind, so our social guy, Connor. He's a big Texas Rangers fan. I could call him and ask him because he also plays baseball as well to get his insight. Would you guys?
We absolutely should.
OPS?
We're gonna ask him. Let's ask him.
It's a big day.
Huge day.
It's a big day for Connor.
Huge day for Connor.
What's going on?
Connor.
What is going on?
What is going on?
Connor, you and me need to hang out, bro.
I know I still got a chub from watching that Phillies game.
Yeah. We
that game is awesome.
So we're talking about our Texas Rangers right now and how they line up for the division series against the Baltimore Orioles. Who do you think is going to get the ball in game 1?
I'm going to have to say Great Dane Dunning.
Okay.
Sounds like
that's what Joe said.
Yeah,
That's what Joe
Rangers
said.
fan like Jared should have known that, I guess. But us real Rangers fans, we know how it really works.
I'm asking his opinion.
Yeah, I'd go Dane Dunning. I mean, Heaney's been out of the bullpen. Martin Perez has been awful. He got moved to the bullpen, so I just have to go Dunning.
Okay. Dane Dunning in game 1, and then you reset and go Montgomery 2, Evaldi 3, and then game 4, who?
And then I'm leaving that up to Boch, to be completely honest with you.
Good call.
That is a mystery.
How about Scherzer?
Yeah, I was going to say they should just actually just like a bell's going to ring. Scherzer's going to walk out.
I'm hearing reports that Scherzer, quote, yelled finally twice after his workout.
What does that mean?
He said finally 2 times during his workout and after. Finally.
Oh, maybe he's feeling good. Finally, I'm feeling better.
Exactly.
Huh. Interesting. All right.
Kind of exciting.
Well, I mean,
Connor, does that do anything for you? Does that do anything for you?
What was that muscle? It was the teres
minor. Teres minor.
Major?
Major, minor?
It was either the major or the minor. Still a bad sitch either
the
way.
teres major minor has to be just back.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be like, Joe, can you look this up? Is there a fucking report out there on Max Scherzer? Like, can we even like consider talking about this dude right now?
Texas Rangers right-hander Max Scherzer encouraged by a pain-free bullpen session on Wednesday today. Had a pain-free, yelled finally twice after the workout because he's finally pain-free.
Oh, boom.
Okay. But they would have to make that decision on whether or not he's going to be on the roster.
Yeah. Just the day before.
He said he was able to step on it more.
Okay. He's ramping up intensity. The veteran described the session as pain-free and seemed excited about his progress, calling out in triumph as he made his way back to the clubhouse. Well, we'll have to wait to see how his body reacts in the coming days. This sounds like promising news. Okay.
Love that.
So it could be Max Scherzer.
Well, Jared, are you still sticking by Max Scherzer? It's going to make him worse because Did
I say that?
Yeah. Remember when
I don't remember saying that. I'll own it.
Is this a blessing in disguise for the Rangers if Max Scherzer is out for the season when it happened?
Well, it was in the series against Tampa because you had Jordan Montgomery and Nathan Evaldi go out there take.
That's what I'm saying. Do you really want a Max Scherzer at like 70% and you know he's going to push it?
If he's your game 4 starter, and you're up 2-1, I think I can eat that bullet if that's the only start that he makes.
That's the whole point of treating everybody else essentially. See, like Max Scherzer in that role is probably not a starter because is Max Scherzer at 70%, giving you 6 innings? I don't know. I would venture to guess not. I'd venture to guess you're probably likely to get more like 3 really good, 4 hopeful innings out of Max at that point in time where he's at right now. I mean, to get anything more than that and have him be efficient would be, again, just Max Scherzer defying his situation at the moment, not counting him out because the dude's an animal. But it just, man, I don't know how likely that is. I would love to see him, Connor, like you said, like a fucking bell ring. So just the music drop and here he comes and people are like, oh my God, I had no idea.
Mm-hmm. Connor, before you get back to tweeting on the Baseball is Dead Twitter account, any words after taking down the Tampa Bay Rays? How are you feeling right now?
Yeah, I just got to Rangers fuck.
All right. Follow Baseball is Dead. Actually, pimp your Rangers Twitter too.
It's at Writing Rangers, and that's writing like writing with a pen, not writing on a Ranger.
Okay, done deal. All right, Connor, thank you so much.
Appreciate it. See
Later, buddy. Are you looking at this Orioles Rangers series as not necessarily lopsided, but that the Rangers might be at a greater disadvantage?
Greater disadvantage because what? I mean, all around, like offensively and pitching wise, because there's like significant differences there.
Like you're gonna even with Felix Bautista hurt, you're obviously taking the Orioles bullpen. Are you taking the Orioles lineup over the Rangers lineup?
Well, that's what I mean. I
definitely not.
Are you Jay Hay?
Definitely
No,
not. He says.
you have to take the Rangers lineup.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I mean, there's too much potential for too much thump for me in that Texas Rangers lineup. Not to say that the Orioles don't have their own group of boppers, but I think top to bottom, what the Texas Rangers provide from both sides of the plate is scary, is problematic.
These teams are built very similar. Offense pops, starters not very deep. And I think with Bautista out, the Orioles bullpen is not anything special.
I still think it's better than the Texas Rangers and what they're featuring.
Yeah,
True, but if you had to pick a weakness for the Orioles, that would that not be one of them?
I would pick their rotation before I picked anything else for Baltimore.
So I'm glad Jared brought up the rotation because this to me is like the single most interesting storyline of this series, the Orioles rotation, because I think it's fair to be like, how good are the pitchers that are going to be pitching for the Orioles in this series? But the numbers kind of are what they are with Bradish and Grayson Rodriguez at this point, because so I looked it up. Okay. There have been 58 pitchers in the American League to make 10 or more starts in the second half. Okay. Post All-Star break. The Orioles have 2 of the top 3 in ERA in those 2 guys. It goes Bradish, Garrett Cole, Grayson Rodriguez. That's it. Like, those are the top 3 in ERA in the AL in the second half. And I just like, I think there may be a legitimate 1-2 punch atop the Orioles rotation that has been kind of like hiding in plain sight over the last like 2 months of the season. Because Grayson Rodriguez is a guy we've expected this level of like performance from, ace level performance from, since he's been a prospect. He was the number 1 pitching prospect in baseball for an extended period of time, took a little bit of time to figure it out, clearly has figured something out. And I think you can argue that Bradish has been one of the very best pitchers in baseball for a really long time this season. Like,
but he's rocking a sub. Is he not? It's a sub 3.
Yeah, it's 2.83
over his
ERA
season.
on the season.
What is it, Jay?
2.83.
303. Oh,
2.83. Like, he's been one of the. You don't even have to do arbitrary endpoints. He's been one of the best pitchers in the AL
Nasty period
this season. at just under 170 innings too. So like I know we were just talking about Jordan Montgomery and Evaldi and how impressive they were in this series and what that could mean moving forward. But man, I just think the Orioles starting pitching is in a much better place than it's been for an extended period of time this season. Like we were talking about, is Flaherty going to be started? Where is Flaherty going to start game one in a postseason series? Like no fucking chance, man. They have their two guys for this moment.
Well, and look, there's not to say that Dean Kramer, even though his numbers are nowhere near as sparkling as either of the other two, those are, I mean, look, or like for Grayson Rodriguez and his recent numbers that you're talking about, Jay. But that's still a guy who, again, Joey, I'm probably going to circle back to this point that if you're going to get 4 innings or whatever out of your third option, if you feel like there's not much beyond your first 2, that is as maybe a decent guy to have laying around.
Dallas is going to give him a tongue bat just because he's from Stockton. That's all.
You brought that up. I didn't.
Yeah, that's literally all that was.
You brought that
Please
up.
disregard. We can go a little bit deeper later on the division series proponent of all this, but the Texas Rangers are moving on. The DraftKings Sportsbook, where you would have won money if you took my parlay tonight. Things are heating up in the ballpark. Every team is playing to finish the season strong and make it to the playoffs. With DraftKings Sportsbook, you won't miss a moment of the baseball action. New customers can score $200 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on baseball. Plus, all customers can take a crack at a sweet payday with DraftKings same-game parlays. String together multiple bets from a single game for your shot at a major payout. So what are you waiting for? Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use the promo code JARED, Jared. New customers can score $200 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on baseball, only on the DraftKings Sportsbook with the promo code JARED. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050 or visit gamblinghelplinema.org. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Kansas, call 1-800-522-4700. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, 21 plus in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after insurance, opt-in, and 10-plus leg requirement for 100% boost. Eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/baseball terms. I saw a Reddit thread that was like, hey, I just got DraftKings Sportsbook's now legal in my state. Should I, if Jared's seeing this, look away. I'm just asking, should I take his parlays? And they were like, I don't know. Yeah, we hit. Yeah, we hit out here. We hit tonight because of the Phils, which would probably be the next biggest story. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Bryson Stott.
Wow.
Grand
What
slam
is
for
this
the
shit?
Phils, dude. It's their fucking home run song, you idiot.
I know, but I like. As a Phillies fan, I don't even know this is the home run song.
What are you trying to say?
As a Phillies fan of the podcast, I don't even know the song. So is it really the Phillies song? They have 2. This is the song.
Is more your speed? This is more your speed, Joe? This is more your speed? Say yes or no.
This is the
There's
speed,
the
baby.
rally towel. There's the
You're
rally
gonna
towel.
make me tear up.
I'm just saying. I mean, the Phils, I said it last year. I think I mean it more this year. I don't think anyone wants to come to Philly. Would you? If I know that you're a Braves
Have you seen
guy,
the crime
Joe,
race? Hell no. Fuck that, dude. No one's going to Philly. No one wants to go to Philly.
No one wants to play baseball in Philly either. Dallas, as a former player, you're sitting there watching these games. You're seeing how rowdy the crowd is in Philly. Are you sitting there being like, oh man, I can't wait to get a piece of that action? And I mean, you're going to say like, what? I'm going to try and silence the crowd? Like, no, you're not.
I don't know that it's the first place out of the places that are left for you to go, that's probably not the first place that you're saying, you know what? No
I
problem.
need to get in on that.
Let's roll there. Like there's a side of you as a competitor that absolutely, if there's a part of you that's not telling yourself that you will be going to silence them, then you and I probably not sharing the same foxhole. But there's also an understanding like, buddy, you're going to be tested. You're going to be tested. You know what those environments have in store, and there's still no really experiencing it until you feel it for the first time. And then that's when it hits. And that's when you're tested and you figure out whether or not that's something you can handle. Is that something you can compartmentalize? Is that something that motivates you? Or is this something that is going to get in the way of you getting your job done?
I mean,
Joe, let's hear it. I want to hear from the Braves' perspective. Like I know that your brain is wired a different way. I know that maybe you're probably not feeling the same things that most Braves fans are feeling right now. But what are your early impressions on playing this Philadelphia Phillies team? And I know last year was different. Last year the Phillies were a 6 seed, and I don't think anyone gave them a chance until they ended up in the World Series. And then we were like, oh, maybe things are different. They took it to 6 games with the Houston Astros. They punched the Braves in the mouth. Like, is anything inside you saying, man, I don't really love this matchup?
No, not one thing. Other than that, the Braves got their shit kicked in last year in this pretty much same scenario. But I don't see that happening again just because everything went fucking wrong last year. Where the Phillies scored like 7 runs off Strider in an inning. And it was lit. And every single player in the Phillies hit a home run in 3 games. It was like an onslaught of overpowering of a Philadelphia overdose. I mean, there was a lot of towels going around. But if you're the Braves, those first 2 games at home are going to be really important because, yeah, you don't want to go to the bank. I was there. I have PTSD because, everyone there made fun of me for wearing my Braves jersey, said I was an idiot, called me names, and But, yeah. Are we previewing? Can we give the Phillies some love before we go in and why their season's going to end next week?
Well, I mean, I think more so in this series, I don't think any of us gave the Marlins a chance. Like they're in the Rangers-Rays series, that was more like, all right, yeah, we can break it down from both sides and see what went wrong and what went right. But the Phillies wiped their ass with the Marlins, and I don't think that anyone expected anything different. Is there anything that you'd like to add to that other than like Nola was shoving? It wasn't a perfect season for him. It was an out-of-character season for Aaron Nola, so it was nice to see him dominate in his first playoff start. Like that's a big takeaway for me.
Yeah, those are the big takeaways. Nola and Wheeler, those two, who both I think have struggled against the Braves this year specifically. Of course, I don't really, want to take regular season matchups between these teams and take them in the postseason. I think it's a whole different ball game. But with Max Fried healthy and Strider healthy, those two going in first 2 games in a 3-game series, if you're facing Strider first game, then Max Fried with a finger that's looking good right now, pitched 5 innings yesterday in a practice, looking good, no problems.
Joe, you don't want to look at the regular season matchups between these teams? Are you looking at the postseason matchups between these teams?
Yeah.
What are you? I just want to know what you are looking at. Give me.
I don't want to say, okay, the Braves touched up Wheeler last time, so now Wheeler's going to suck. Same thing with like, Evaldi's been shit the past month. He comes out and shuts down the Rays. I think it's a little different when you have these big pitchers who have done it. Like Nola and Wheeler are good pitchers. I don't care if they gave up 6 runs against the Braves in fucking May. They're going to be coming out strong. But again, I don't see any pitcher really, unless the Braves, like a lot of shit has to go wrong for any pitcher just shut out the Braves. And for that to happen, 3 games. Because this lineup is legitimately, arguably, the best lineup of all time.
Strong.
Is it strong? Do they have the most home runs of all time? Do they have the most home runs of all time? Are the only team in MLB history to have a slugging percentage over 500?
Hey, buddy.
Same
I'm just saying
WRC plus as
like,
the 27 Yankees. That's a record.
I'm not going to dispute anything. Here.
No, I'm just saying it's strong.
It is strong. I want to go back to last year because this is like deja vu, bro. I mean, this is the same shit happened last year. Phillies, obviously, the Phillies are way more. I mean, I think if we ask everyone who's going to win the series, a lot of people are going to say the Phillies because they have all the momentum. Everyone loves the red towel, and everyone in the Phillies is a fucking asshole, and it's exciting, right? But at the end of the day, I don't see the Phillies pitching shutting down the Braves lineup like they did last year when like everyone they dominated us.
And it's not like the Braves aren't used to a raucous environment. They play in front of a large crowd every night. They play in front of energy every night. They show out in front of energy every night. Yep. And so there's no like that. That's not going to be a thing. Again, playing in the hostile environment, you're not picking on Philly initially. That's probably not your number one destination. But the fact that you have experienced that before, that's not an issue.
I mean, it gets rowdy in Atlanta too. I mean, it's not like
that's my whole point.
Yeah, and they have home field advantage in the series.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you gotta play there 3 times if it's gonna go 5. We'll be there. What, Jake? Are we? Which game are we going to, and which game is the watch party?
Watch party for game 2, and we're going to game 1.
And the watch party is where?
It is at Atlanta Live at the Battery. I'm told. If you're a Braves fan or if you live down there, you know this place.
Okay. I'm told.
Hey, yo.
So Atlanta Live at the Battery is where we'll be for game 1?
No, 2.
2.
We'll be there for both games, but we're dipping for game 1.
Okay. I'll be sure to just tweet a bunch of shit out when we're down there. But that's going to be fun. And any nerves at all, Joe? Are you like... I just watched the best lineup of all time. Like, we're just going to go in. Like, it's not a formality. Like, the Phillies versus the Marlins, like, that was a formality. Like, that was just like, all right, we gotta punch the clock. You know, that's just how it works. We didn't win the division, so we have to play this series, and it is what it is. But having the Braves because I'm trying to put myself back into the mentality of the 2018 Boston Red Sox, where it was the winningest franchise in Red Sox history. And it's like, all right, yeah, like every team that we go up against, like we know that they're better. We know that the Red Sox are better than that team, but it's still going to be a dogfight. Like, are you expecting a dogfight, or are you expecting the Braves to flex?
I'm expecting the Braves to flex early, and once we get the 2 games out of the way, it's if you're going up 2-0, going to Philly, that crowd, they'll be hyped, but it ain't going to be as intimidating. Those first 2 games are going to the Braves.
You think they're going to be up 2-0 going into game 3?
Yes. Because our Achilles heel right now as the Braves is the starting pitching. Because after Max Fried, after Strider, our boy Charlie Morton's got a hurt finger. Elder hasn't been as good in the second half. Then you got, who you go into after that? Schuster, That's the weakness. But the first 2 fucking guys, Max Fried, Strider, you wouldn't want anybody else. I mean,
so what makes you any different than the Phillies?
Because we have the best lineup of all time, Dallas.
For the record, because I'm sure people are wondering, the Philadelphia Phillies were 5-8 against the Braves this year. The Braves outscored them 74-58.
Doesn't matter.
I mean, it does matter. Head-to-head competition matters. The Braves have the season record.
Joe, there's an air of cockiness about you that I don't know we've seen.
No, he did this last year. No, he did this last year.
I feel like, but I feel like there's an almost a level of disgust that we're even entertaining the notion that this series really has any more time wasted on it than we should.
I would be afraid of
I just sit here and chuckle because I know you guys are hype on the Phillies. I know you just watched them butt smack the Marlins 2 times in a row, dude. And I know you saw all the towels and everyone getting hyped. Bring them on, right? All I got to say, hold your horses.
I'm not I'm not out here saying that it's a done deal or anything like that. I'm just trying to, I mean, like, listen to this crowd. Listen to this crowd. That's fucking crazy.
They got the best crowd.
Yeah.
If we're comparing crowds, there's no one with a better crowd.
That's at half volume, because if I went full there, it would blow your fucking eardrums out.
Yeah.
It was loud at the bank tonight. I'm just trying to put myself in your shoes. If I were a Braves fan and we had this all-star, I mean, they literally were the National League all-star team this year. They broke all these offensive records, and I'm watching that. Like, is there any credence to, like, the Braves had to, like, take a few days off? The Phillies went out there and played in front of their home crowd already, and they're, like, you mentioned the momentum. Is that something that you are factoring in at all?
Yeah, I mean, dude, what I'm factoring into right now, the reason to be scared if you're the Braves is that the Phillies are electric and they have a cool song, and they also have a sick lineup like the Braves. It's not as deep as the Braves, but if you're leading off with Schwarber, and right there, if you're going to Philly and Schwarber hits a leadoff home run, I mean, the game's fucking over, kind of. It feels like, because right there, it's just a riot and the stadium breaks because everyone's fucking, it's a shore bomb, yeah, free Wawa hoagies, and everyone's fucking pumped, So that's what's scary about him when you got Schwarber coming up, and then, but then once you get past Realmuto, that's the difference between these lineups, is that the Braves lineup is just way deeper.
Yeah.
And there are some questions with the starting lineup, starting pitching, but I think in a 5-game series, I like that it's a 5-game series because, like I said, I got faith in Strider and I got faith in Max Fried, and they're going to be pitching 4 out of 5 games most likely. I mean, you feeling pretty good about that as a Braves fan. I mean, that's where a lot of the confidence comes from. And I love my Phils, but come on, man. Sometimes you just got to be honest. You got to look your boys in the face and say, boys, this is not our year. It's maybe it's not even our decade. I don't know, guys.
Yeah. Jay, hey, what's your read on this series?
We talking Braves, Phillies, or yeah? I mean, I think you have to be getting really cute and contrarian to take anything but the Braves. That's my read on it. They are. Joey's not exaggerating with the offense. Certainly one of the greatest that we've seen in our lifetimes, if not the greatest. And while I would be tempted to take the Phillies if it was a Phillies-Dodgers series, I just don't think you can pick against the Braves and be serious about it. They obviously could lose the series, but there's just I don't see why you would.
Dallas?
Look, man, what the Phillies, if the Phillies can pitch, that is pretty much the only chance they're going to have, because it is a lineup that just continues to come at you. It is by very definition relentless. And regardless of what kind of performance you get from a starting pitcher, unless he's able to start or unless he's able to finish what he starts, it feels like even not seeing that guy, regardless of how good you think your bullpen is, it still feels like that's an opportunity. So, I mean, what the Braves have done, man, they've made it really hard to think that you can outlast what those guys are doing at the plate over any stretch. 5-game series, especially with what they got coming on the mound in the 1-2 punch.
It's gonna be a dogfight. Like, for as good as the Braves are this year and historically, I still think it goes to 5 games. Like, I don't think that either team is gonna just sucker punch the other and catch them off guard, winning 3 or 4.
Because like think about this. What if a guy like Taijuan Walker takes the ball and just gives you 6 maybe even 6 1/3, 2/3. You know what I mean? Like just something that you just would not expect at all. I don't think.
Who's going to be this year's Ranger Suarez?
I already got him, brother.
You know, I mean, Taijuan Walker took the ball every time he could this year.
I mean,
right? 30 plus starts.
We can
sub 4.5.
We can dream up scenarios where the Phillies win the series. We could do that.
Sure.
We could do that for any pairing of any two teams in the league. But these two teams just spent the regular season battling this out, and the result was one team was 14 games better and 150 runs better than the other. And to me, like
yeah,
we all
but Jay,
we all
the 5 and
understand
8, the 5 and 8, the 5 and 8, like those numbers involve a lot of other teams.
I understand, but there is literally zero correlation in the history of baseball playoffs between a team's regular season win-loss head-to-head against an opponent and what happens in the playoffs if those two teams meet again.
Well, I'm not trying to draw a correlation. I'm saying if you're going to highlight numbers that involve a litany of other teams, I'm just going to narrow it down and say, well, let's look at this body of work. This is the comparison between these two and how they've played out. So
My
lot
point
of the
is that the
separation-
Braves are a much better team. And I don't.
Yeah, that's the point we're all talking about. I get that, but with what you just said, I mean, that allows me to reflect and go, well, 5 and 8. If you're talking about there's no chance because of the massive separation because of the other teams involved that created the separation between these two, well, then let's dial it in a little and take a look at how these two teams competed against each other. And that's where, if you're dreaming up scenarios, you have to go
Sure.
because
But
that's what gives them
have
the
to
best
do.
opportunity.
But that's what
Right.
you have
Well,
to
that's
do.
what I
for
was
the
saying,
Phillies.
and you
Yeah,
almost
yeah.
wanted to be like, nope.
No, I'm saying that I think a lot of people, not necessarily you, a lot of people look at regular season head-to-head results in series between two teams in the playoffs and are like, this team won 8 of the 12 games. That means something. And I'm saying that in terms of how those playoff series actually play out in history, it doesn't mean anything. So that's not, I'm not contradicting what
Well, no,
you're
because
saying.
how things
I'm
have
saying
gone
there's no
between
predictive value is what I'm
No,
saying.
because again, and Joey, you can answer this. How have things gone between the Phillies and the Braves?
This year, the Braves have handled business.
No, I'm talking about in the postseason.
Oh, well, now you're bringing up old shit, so.
Yeah. so there's the lack of correlation really to almost any, right? Like you can dominate me in the postseason or you can dominate me in the season and you can be just better than me and then
Dodgers Padres last year.
Things are different. So that's just where you hear people say that's the beautiful thing
always
about
beat
baseball.
the Padres, and then they played each other in the postseason, and it didn't go the Dodgers' way.
Well, and we've talked about this, me and Dallas in particular. I feel like baseball has rigged the game this way. I mean, it's not designed to produce a World Series or even an LCS that features the 4 best teams with the best records from the regular season or the teams that earned it during the regular season, quote unquote. It's designed to be a random postseason tournament, more or less. And what that means is that while the Braves are heavy favorites, and I think we would all be smart to take the Braves, that only means that they're like a 57% favorite to win the series or 56% to 40. Like it's not like none of these matchups,
56%.
none of these matchups are ever 70-30 or 80-20 in the postseason, no matter how lopsided they are, because the series are so short and baseball is such a wacky ass game. And Major League Baseball is determined to make it this way. For better or worse,
Right,
it's not even a complaint. It just is what it is.
Like we've all looked at the Phillies Marlins matchup and we all felt like out of every matchup this round, that was the matchup that had the biggest disparity in roster. Like just like
And
how
it played
is
out
this
that
gonna
way
work
this
out?
time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
But there have been series in the past that were more lopsided on paper that played out in the exact opposite fashion. It's just, that's baseball, Susan.
Yep. But that's why this game is so beautiful, is because in this moment of the season, that is when, as the cliche goes, that this is when stars are born. This is when somebody steps up and performs and continues to perform over the course of a month. And you're like, oh my God, we didn't see this coming. We didn't see this dude making 3 or 4 postseason starts and shoving every time. We didn't see him growing in to this elite high leverage stopper that they could lean on 2 out of 3 games early, then 4 out of 5, and then did he just throw 5 out of 7 games, 6 out of 7 in the World Series? Holy shit, right? Like that's where these dudes come from. Like that guy just hit fucking almost 500.
Yeah.
Like, so
especially with the Phillies, bro, because it's like, when you see Bryson Stott come to the plate, when you see Alec Boehm and Marsh, if it's the playoffs, it's completely different. You know what I'm saying? These guys, for some reason, in the playoffs, they are a lot scarier. And that's probably just bias from last year.
I think it's the hair.
It's the hair. It's the thing with Bryson Stott. They play his fucking walk-up song on 1,000 fucking level volume. You can hear it through the TV louder than anything. And you're like, oh my God, it's Bryson Stott. Fuck.
What a blast. What a blast for Stott. My word. That was a tough unfolding of events.
And what's
tough unfolding of events. Well, that was what they would have had, or they almost had Harper picked off.
Mm-hmm. You thought he was out.
I thought he was out from the angle that I was looking at, and I've heard, and I'll address this right now. From the angle that I was looking at, it looked like Bell got him on the bill of his helmet, and people were saying, "Look at the shadows; they're not even close." Well, and I'm going to say, here's my response to that. If you think, based on the partially grainy video that I can give you that doesn't have the slow-mo, and it's not like it was my video, that's the video that we all saw on TV as well. So if you think you can determine that the bill, however thin that is, where that shadow is on that video, and whether the glove, then you know what? Hey, fuck, I'm not going to argue. Knock yourself out. But I do believe that that's what happened. And some folks are saying, I don't know. I think it was Bryce Harper seeing the ball come through and reacting and moving. And you know what? To that point, I don't have another angle, but I'm not going to dispute that either. So if you're listening to this and you saw that tweet, this is me addressing that possibility right here, right now. But I do believe that that's what happened. That was my knee-jerk reaction. I was like, fuck, he's out. Come on. How are we not seeing that? But then that leads to Stott hitting the grand slam, right? And I think he had punched out twice before that at bat. But it's the error to Berger, or the error by Berger. And it was like, fuck, man. Really? Really? Like if we were going to be in this, if we had a chance, if they had a fighting chance,
no,
that couldn't happen.
It's like
if we were going to pick Bryce Harper off and get another out, now we're just 1 out. Come on, 1 out away.
Did I see somewhere that 13 out of the 16 best of 3 wild card series have been sweeps so far?
I saw that too. Since 2020, since it started.
13 out of 16.
You skipped 21, but yeah, if you count the COVID year, yep.
So,
wow,
is it working? Like, is the best of 3 necessary, or
it's definitely working because it's more playoff games, more money, makes the regular season, more teams are in it.
Yeah.
Like that's why it's working. Yeah. And we haven't seen a team like Dodgers versus whoever they played. We haven't seen a crazy upset where it's like, fuck, like this team has 100 wins. They just lost, like the Phillies maybe lose to the Marlins. You might be like, well, that's bullshit. 3-game series.
Like Jared, you get a storybook 04 Sox situation where, a team loses, just gets absolutely drug the first game, and then the underdog, for whatever reason, comes back and wins the next 2, obviously on visiting turf. And then they just continue the Cinderella run because they're going to be playing in everybody else's backyard, right? So it would have taken almost like the Marlins to make a run at the CS where you're like, oh my God, this is crazy. Everybody now, maybe do people start to buy in on what the Marlins are all about, what they're trying to do? Well, take something like that.
I got to ask a question in response to Jared's question. If we put aside the more games, more money thing, because we're not seeing any of that, what is better about this than the 5 teams in each league making the playoffs? Because
more baseball.
Yeah, it's more. But that's
okay. If that's the only answer, then that's the answer. Because I feel like there's something I don't like about the division winner, one of the division winners, having to play in the wild card round. Like that to me, because you won your division and you should play in the divisional round, just like it used to be. That's how it used to be.
But there's layers to the whole competitive, like be the best, right?
Well,
Be
no.
better.
What this is
be better
just
than everybody
ginning up
else.
more playoff games. It's not being the best. It's just ginning up more playoff games and more revenue for Major League Baseball, and that's fine. I just like losing
from a
mind seeing
competitor's
team like the
perspective.
Twins get punished for being a dog shit team in a dog shit division and making the playoffs. Like if there's
but it
a
wouldn't.
wild
But
card
it's not
team-
necessarily that. That's only the case right now. There could be
Yeah.
plenty of instances where all three division winners win 95 games, and that team still has to play in the wild card
Agreed.
round, which to
Yeah.
me would feel even more ridiculous than it does now. To me, there's something.
I like that.
I don't not
I love
like this format, but I thought when they introduced the one and done wild card, the idea was to capture the electricity that exists in a winner go home game, right? That happens in all the other sports that baseball's always trying to emulate, right? With football's urgency and the NCAA tournament, that was the whole impetus behind the wild card, right? And now what we've done is we've made it a best of three. And I don't know that we're getting any additional excitement out of it. To me, losing back-to-back games, like bang, bang, like we just saw with 4 of these teams, it really kind of feels like you're not in the real postseason still. That's like the feeling I'm left with these teams. And while I guess that's okay for a wild card team, because it would have been the case in the previous format, there's just something about winning the division and being like, yeah, you weren't really in the playoffs. That feels not great.
Well,
Maybe once we get better results and we get more 3-game series, we'll feel a little bit differently about this. But I don't think you can say the early returns are terribly positive. They're fine.
I'm not asking this to be an asshole. I like genuinely because it's just a matter of one game. But if each and every one of these series actually goes to 3 games instead of each and every one of them being only 2 games, is there any difference in that? Because if our initial reaction is it's more baseball, and that's really all we can offer is more baseball, if we can't factor in the financial aspect of the decision and why it's structured this way. So
well, you
then
can factor
if
that
you're
in.
getting-
I don't know why that would matter from a fan's perspective.
Oh,
The other
for sure.
element, the other element here is if you have to play in the wild card round, like say, like obviously because the Twins won their division, they played a wild card team that had a better record than them, but they still had the home advantage because they won the division. I think the teams that play in the wild card round and lose, that probably feels like you didn't even make the playoffs because you never even had a playoff home game.
Yes. And I don't, maybe that's fine because as I said, like in the single game wild card, it's one game that you weren't at home for also. So at least for one of those wild card teams, I don't know, maybe this is just too results oriented because to Dallas's question, like, I don't know, I guess the only advantage of it going 3 games instead of 2 is that inherently you're getting what you would think is a more competitive series, right? Like that's the only.
Well, you would like a chance to rebuttal, right? I think that's what everybody thinks about is, all right, hey, you might have caught me on that day, but, right? Like, but what? But my ace caught a fucking comebacker off the leg and was out in the second inning. If that wasn't the case and he was able to go, okay, well then what if we had another game? Well, if we had another game, we might be able to push it to a final third and deciding game. Okay, well then fuck. Here's 3 games. Here you go.
I also, maybe I'm complaining too much, but also I feel like with these very short, like I like to be able to settle into a series too, right? Like where it's like, all right, here we go.
Well, there's 3 games.
We got, right, but we haven't really gotten that. And so if you have,
well, no,
if you have 2 games, like that's the risk of a 3-game series is that it only lasts 2 games. And so far that's happened a lot of times. And I feel like I've had a really hard time settling into these series and being like, you know, I think we're all on the same page. We're all hardcore baseball fans. One of the things I like is being like, hey, that guy was used in game 2. He can't be used again in game 3. Who are they going to bring in for this situation now? Like that sort of stuff. And I just don't feel like you get that ebb and flow in these short series. And if that's the case, I would lean towards just having a one and done wild card because I enjoyed that as a fan. And I also enjoyed the trickle down effect, the game 163s that you got over the years too. I thought those were fucking electric more often than not. So I don't know. Time. I think it needs more time, but I think it's been an underwhelming start for the new format, at least in the first round.
That's fair. Yeah, I think like you could also just envision a bunch of different random scenarios where it's like, we needed to use our ace on the last day to win the division, but now we're still playing in the wild card, so now we can't use our ace in the one game playoff in the wild card. Like there's different scenarios that just kind of make it more intriguing.
Yeah, because at some point in time, we have to just be okay with the fact that you had to fucking win games to have the best situation moving into the most important time of the season. It's okay that didn't happen for you. Like that, you know what I mean? Like at some point in time, we got to be okay that you're not lining up your best lineup and your best optimal rotation heading into the postseason. Somebody's not going to be in that position. And it's going to take, as we've identified them to be, dogfights and bloodbaths in order to get to that position. So I love that competitive aspect of this. And, you know, just putting a bow on that division thing, like play the best baseball. That's why we play all of these games, is to see who can play the best baseball over the course of the entirety of this season. But yeah,
I got a hot take. I don't know if this is where we're going with the conversation, but I think we've left the two most interesting results series wise for the second half of this podcast.
Yeah, they're the ones that I got wrong.
I don't even care about the right or wrong stuff. I just think that both sides of both of these results are way more interesting than Phillies Marlins, fait accompli, right? And then like Rangers Rays is interesting in that the Rangers move on, but I don't think anybody's like hemming and hawing over what this means for the Rays' future. You know what I mean? Or where do the Rays go from here? Nobody cares.
And people just expect a random churn of players. They have no idea who the next three studs vying for the Cy Young next year are. We don't either, but there's one of them hanging around somewhere right now.
Well, if you want to see the Atlanta Braves square off against the Philadelphia Phillies when we're down there in Atlanta, you got to use the Game Time app. You shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you with last-minute killer deals. All-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. They have playoff tickets for every single round of the division series. You'll be able to pick where you want to sit and get to see that seat before you buy it. See the view from your seat before you buy so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All-in prices show your total up front so you know that you're getting a great deal without the hidden fees. Buy tickets in seconds with just 2 taps. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute seats. Find exclusive flash deals and sponsored deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. With zone deals, you pick the section and Game Time picks the seats for an average of 18% savings. And the Game Time guarantee means that you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the promo code Jared, and that will get you $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account, use the promo code Jared, Jared, and that'll get you $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Okay. Let's talk about the Minnesota Twins winning not just one playoff game, they won them both. That's 2 playoff wins for a team that hasn't won a playoff game or a series since fucking 2002 against Dallas Braden's Oakland A's. Holy fuck. I mean, that's a long time.
Hot minute.
That is a long time to go without winning a playoff game. I had them losing both. Who else had them getting swept? Speak now.
Did not have them getting swept. I had them going 3 games and losing.
I had them losing. I don't remember how many games though.
Joe, you had him getting swept. You had him getting swept.
Yeah. My bad.
Yeah. I said they were going to win the Sonny Gray start, which I was right. They won the
Did
Sonny
anybody
Gray
pick them to win the series? Jay? Yeah. Jay, the floor is yours, please.
Listen, I mean, all of these things are kind of guesswork on these series stuff. Got plenty wrong, got some right. But I was just, I don't know, man. They're starting pitching. We line those up to start this off. Their front two versus front two, and the Twins were better. And I think that dovetails into what I think is the most interesting single decision of the entire series, which was Schneider's decision to pull Berrios in the fourth inning, because you look at the stats and you're like, well, the Blue Jays starting pitching delivered where the Twins starting pitching delivered where the Blue Jays didn't, and that's kind of true. Like Lopez definitely outpitched Gausman in game one, but I feel like we don't really know what would have happened in game two, right? Because
Jay, there are so many. There are so many things. I mean, like where do you want to start? Where do you want to stay? You want to stay on game one? You want to go to game two? Like, because there's so many different layers to both of these outings. Like the whole Gausman thing, and I just how the Jays. I don't know if they were hamstrung necessarily, or if they knew that they were going to have to make a tough decision at some point in time, and whether or not it was coming game one or game two. And they were hoping that it was going to maybe wait until game three. And what they decided to do is deploy it game two, right? It didn't happen with Gausman, because whether or not you want to say he was tipping, you can look at the numbers and his lack of success against the Twins this season. You can take a look at the numbers and his lack of success against the Twins overall, which is something I did. 2 starts this year, 10 innings, 6.30 ERA, 9 walks, 12 punch-outs. 11 starts in his career against the Twins, 6.35 ERA. He's given up 8 homers and OPS just over 800, coming in at 816. The idea, though, for the Blue Jays is where they found themselves was having to make a decision in game one on whether or not Gausman was going to continue to be a guy that could keep them in the fight, because the swing and miss was not there. They did a wonderful job of executing a game plan. And the old adage is, and it applies to a knuckleballer, see it high, let it fly, see it low, let it go. Meaning you see it high, you see it up in the zone. Those are the ones we're attacking. Those are the ones we're hacking at. You see it low, let it go. Those are the ones we're not swinging at. They're starting low. They're going to finish even lower. Those are balls. They did a fabulous job of spitting on shit, starting out of the hand at the bottom of the zone, working down, pitch count up, traffic, added runs to the board. It was uncomfortable from the very beginning. And go ahead, Jay. If you got something.
No. I'm just struck by, I feel like we've lost sight in baseball of what we're doing sometimes. And I understand.
So let's go to game two.
Yeah, I understand logically, I understand what was happening there, right? You're bringing it. You have Kikuchi on the roster, and you're bringing him in for a string of lefties, right? This is the moment where, hey, might not be the only moment, but it's a moment where you can bring Kikuchi into the game and potentially get some length out of him. He's been very good. And I was reading an article that said that there were only 2 starting pitchers that had a stronger lefty killing platoon than Kikuchi from the second half of the season on. So like, I get it, but Berrios was pitching very well. And I just feel like there is a purpose for why we employ these starting pitchers and why they are paid lots of money. And that doesn't mean you have to ride them to the 8th or 9th inning anymore. But I feel like this is just,
he was doing everything you wanted him to do at that point. 47 pitches, 32 strikes. He punched out 5. It was the first time he had ran into a fucking spot, and you gave him $130+ million fucking dollars to get out of spots just like that. You gave him the money to help get you to the fucking place. He did that, and you're yanking him at 47 fucking pitches. What are we doing? So then the logical part tells you
Clearly,
to
you
look at
agree
some of
with
the
me where
numbers.
I'm coming. Yeah.
To look at the matchups, because that's where, like, I tried to say initially, people were like, bro, I don't know. And look, and that's where I get back to what I initially stated about they knew they were going to have to make a decision at some point in time. Was it going to be the first game? Was it going to be the second game? Pray to God it's the third game. So they made their bed in game one and decided to bow out. It is what it is. They're not going to deploy the game plan that they had knew was coming, which was, if we can find a way, and I said it, isn't a matter of them trying to surprise somebody and start Kikuchi. I said this on the radio show in Toronto, and they're like, what? And I was like, buddy, I'm not telling you that's a great idea. I'm telling you they might be having to make a decision, starting a lefty to get the lefties out of there so that they can come in right-handed later. Like, there's just,
dude,
that's not going to be the way that
there are
numbers,
plenty,
because Bassett's numbers against left-handers, if it was going to be a game 3 decision, Bassett's numbers against left-handers, not favorable. So you probably would have made the same decision, or let me walk that back. You have to believe that they were entertaining making the same decision in game 3 should Bassett have been performing similarly and found himself in a similar spot. Why? Because they did it in game 2. And you can't do it, or you can't wait around, they're thinking, for a game 3 to pop up if we can't win game 2. So the contingency plan has to happen now. And that's what I believe happened.
Do you hear how convoluted that is?
Oh my God, Jay, trust me.
What
but that's
you just
where
said.
we're at. That's
No.
Because that's how
I get
we're
it.
forced
I
to
get it.
analyze this game now.
I'm not disputing that what you're saying is correct. I'm saying if we play back what you just said and then compare it with let's leave Jose Berrios in the game, it's like
the game to do what he's doing.
What are we fucking doing? Like, it is an incredibly frustrating way to wash out of the playoffs when you had one of, if not the best starting rotation in the league during the regular season, AL, and your 2 starting pitchers give you 7 innings in the games. One of them because he was ineffective, and the second because your manager pulled him while he was being very effective. I just there are other angles we can take on this series. We can talk more about the Twins. Well, I mean, the Jays offense was a complete fucking no-show.
Well, that right there, Jay, that right there. Let's get into that, because I'm going to say this. Look, you can bitch, piss, and moan about the move that was made. You want to know how many runs the Twins scored after that move was made? They didn't score again. They scored 0 runs after that move. Okay. Yep. So if they scored 9 more, bitch all you want. They didn't score any more. And so whether we all agree with the move or not, that is indeed what happened. What did not happen is they didn't score a run. They didn't score near enough runs. That was the issue. They were, and then fuck. Are we forgetting about Vlad getting picked off at second base? What are we doing? You've got your team's best hitter up right now. What are we doing? Why? Why? We're 2 outs, right?
2.
I mean,
it was an inning ender. Yep.
And not
2
just his base running, but we now have. I mean, granted, it's only 25.
Right. Where's he been offensively?
25 plate appearances in his postseason career. The guy's got 3 fucking hits, and no homers, 1 single RBI in 6 games. Like whatever RBI, whatever. But you have to score. And to me, this entire era of Blue Jays baseball is like kind of a wet fart at this point for me, because we were promised some level of greatness. I felt like
the legacy Jays
in this rebuild. Yeah. With Vlad and Bichette, and I know Biggio was thrown in there, but really Vlad and Bichette, and then supplementary guys around them and stud pitchers. And I just feel like we're never getting that offense. We had questions about it coming in. We talked about it on the podcast, and it was as underwhelming as they could. They had 1 extra base hit in 2 games. The Blue Jays, one extra base hit in 2 games.
3 for, what were they like? Jay, I tweeted this out. They were like 3 for 19 with runners in scoring position. They had 1 extra base hit. Like, that's an offense that cannot afford to go missing. Like, they don't have any one guy in that lineup that has shown the ability to carry a club. And say what you will about what Bo Bichette did, because at times it feels like even if he wasn't in a position to carry the team, the offense has shot themselves in the foot, i.e. Vlad getting picked off with 2 outs and him being one of the 2 runners on, down 3 runs in a pretty important situation. Like that's the kind of shit that has happened. And just to put a bow on the whole Gausman thing, I don't know how I stumbled upon this note, but 11 teams in his career he's faced 10 or more times, and only the Pirates have a higher OPS against Kevin Gausman than the Minnesota Twins.
Pirates, good shit.
Raise it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, to be fair to Gausman, I mean in that first game, the only time they scored was fucking Royce Lewis, 2 home runs.
Yeah, bang, bang. How about that? Show up, son.
That was the Twins offense.
Shout out to him too, by the way. Like a pretty circuitous route to this point for a number 1 overall pick, which is what he was in, what was that, 2017? Pretty cool. I think his family was there too, or his mom was there for the I don't know.
His mom and dad, I think, both of them.
Yeah, that's kind of neat because like it looked like, what is this guy going to be? And obviously the expectations for a 1-1 are super high, and it's nice that at the very least, I mean, he's been productive when he got up, but it's nice that he had his moment too.
And he was hurt to come back
and
perform immediately and set the tone.
Let me ask you guys this before we move on real quick. What ranks, what don't you like more? What smells worse? However you want to look at it. What's tougher to swallow? Yanking Snell? Yanking Berrios?
Snell, just because
Berrios.
of the stakes.
Right.
To me, yanking Berrios is harder to stomach. I know the Snell move is going to be the more famous one for sure. But to me, Snell had a pretty extended history of not going very deep into games, particularly postseason games. So like, I think you can see what was going on there. This to me is like the worst. This is the worst of modern baseball managing. If like in terms of my opinions and aesthetic appeal of what baseball should be.
You know my whole belief that you got 2 lists you get to choose from as a manager on the decisions. You get 2 decision lists. Is this the decision list that keeps his job, or is this in fact the decision list that calls into question his job? What do you think, Jay?
I think that's a great question because I think the Blue Jays are at a little bit of a crossroads too. I think he keeps his job.
Yeah.
I think they've had too much recent managerial turnover there to do it again.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't the question you're asking is if this is like a front office move or like a manager?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Dallas?
I thought you meant does this cost him his job? I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, because my whole stance is managers who are under or work with regimes who are heavily analytically inclined, I believe, are ultimately presented with whether or not they're actual lists, right? I doubt that, but there's an understanding. Look, if we make decisions based on these evaluations, then we can all live with the result, and you're not going to be called into question. But if you start making what we would perceive to be, baseball decisions, like, we're playing these hunches, like never mind your 30 years around the game, never mind your feel, never mind what you watch very closely day in and day out, like never mind that. So those are the lists that you get to choose from as a manager. Is this a decision that was made from a list that says everybody's okay with it? We discussed this. We knew that we were going to do this if this popped up, and we could live with this. Or is this a decision where John Schneider said, you know what, boys, he ain't got it. This is it. I feel it's going south real quick right now, and he's done. I got to go get him.
Dude, if he did this on his own, that is way fucking crazy.
Yeah, there's no way.
So then what is so then think about the tough spot a manager is put in, because now he has to look at his team, and his team is looking at him going, what are you doing going out there? What just happened? Can you explain to me what just happened? And now think about the spot he's in.
And he's got to pull out the algorithm. He's got to get on the whiteboard and write out the numbers. And it says here, if you plug it in this and you simulate it 10,000 times, it says that Kikuchi would probably get the outs.
Can you, I know Dallas is going for the clubhouse emotional angle too, which is totally relevant. think about how lame you have to feel if you're Jose Berrios himself. It's his former team.
Yeah.
They didn't ever win a postseason game while he was there. They're on the verge of breaking the series streak, and he's fucking electric, right? His manager said he was electric after the game when he took him out, and he goes out there and pulls him, and Jose Berrios is like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Like,
how about
that's not how you
him
should
walking,
base decisions on, but that has to feel so goddamn lame.
dude? How about him walking off the mound, bro? He walked. He walked off the. He was just like lost. Like, I know the dugout's right there, but are you fucking sure that I am done? Like, is there? And he like kind of looked back at the mound, like, oh damn. Like, I get.
Did you watch
Did
you see the video? He was watching them celebrate. He was like one of the only people still left in the Blue Jays dugout. He was watching them celebrate. Yeah. I think he came. Yeah, I'm watching it now. He came back out onto the field to like.
Well, that was something that they asked me earlier today during the interview that I did. And they asked, does him being back here have anything, or is it going to impact him in any way? And I said it's a double-edged sword, because you have the emotion of wanting to perform for a team that, whether you feel like they didn't want you, whatever the case may be. I feel like that water's probably long drifted under the bridge. But there's still that chip to an extent. And then the other side of that is, hey, because he is a former player, they're going to want to maybe rattle him. They're going to want to give him a little extra. There's going to be an acknowledgement of what's at stake here. And that dude is now in between what we're trying to get done. So, and I said, what's that?
Do you want to hear him talk?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Maybe like 6 8,
I mean, obviously, I know that we are like a elimination game, so we had to give all we got in this game, and that's what I did. We trying my hard, pitch by pitch, and that 4 inning, I started inning with walk of the guy, so we don't have many room to give chance. So, I mean, I understand the move, so I had to deal with that.
It seemed like you were dealing up until that point. I mean, even the Lewis at bat, it was a long at bat. I mean, how frustrating is that? I mean, you're used to going deep in games, obviously.
I mean, it is, honestly, like a competitive guy. I mean, everybody know I really work hard myself. So, what I can say, we are in the elimination game, so we don't have many room to give chance to other teams. So, yeah, that bat was, long one. He took great at bat. He been doing that yesterday and today. So, but other than that, I feel pretty good about it. Obviously, I feel frustrated and bad because I lost. But life's still on.
Jose, how hard was it for you to have to walk through the next 6 innings of that game after
you know what? Right after they take me out, I feel like, bad because I want to keep going out there. But then I say we have to enjoy it. We're here. We're still playing the sport we love. So watching my teammate being in Minnesota, watch the great atmosphere. So I enjoy it. So I don't. It wasn't bad. Watch those innings from the dugout.
I mean, that's about as good as you can take it, right? Like
that's as pro as it gets. For him to not
like manager under the bus. Like, you're not going to say I should have been out there, and he's not going to pull opposite of George Kirby, basically.
No, and it almost feels like him hanging out there was his way of like just processing. Like, look, you know what? I can't do anything about me being taken out. I guess like not walking those guys. I could have not done that. But ultimately, outside of that, I'd like to think that I'd be given a shot to clean that up because, all of the reasons that they brought me here. But if that's not going to be the case, it's tough to watch this unfold over the next 6 innings. But ultimately, I did watch a group of my friends enjoy a moment that I would have really loved to have been a part of. It hurts, but I almost wonder if there's a feeling for him that says, look, I would have loved to have continued on, but because that opportunity was taken away from me, it's not a matter of me feeling terrible about the egg I laid, quote unquote, because I didn't lay that egg. And you even heard him at the very end say, the fact that I lost. He like corrected himself, changed it from a we lost to a I lost. That's who that dude is. That's the kind of guy he is. Just like that didn't slip by me. I heard that. And he wants you to remember that.
If I was in that post game presser as him, I'd be, that's that Uncle Phil. We.
Yeah.
We. I didn't lose shit.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not a professional athlete, but I would have been like, fuck this.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're a Blue Jays fan, I know that like the focus should be on the Twins and it is. It's a huge accomplishment. I'm really happy for those fans because they were loud as fuck. And I pointed that out. I said, no one's gonna top the Phillies. Maybe the Braves, we'll see. But they were really loud in Minnesota. But if you're a Blue Jays fan, what are you supposed to do? Like, what are you thinking right now? Like, because is it going to get better? Do you have reason
they're calling for the head?
Yeah.
They're calling for the head, Jared. They're calling for the head. They want the skipper gone, like bare minimum. And I think fans are becoming more privy to the lack of cohesiveness in that clubhouse.
I mean,
I don't know what that means. If it means like that they want, players gone, I have no idea. But
there needs to be a
happy.
shakeup. They can't run it back. That's not a situation where you just run it back. Because even this year, they got there, but they fell short of expectations. Like I think a lot of people had them winning the division. I know Tampa got off to a hot start. I know the Orioles played better, much better than a lot of people thought that they would. But that doesn't mean that the Blue Jays couldn't have still played better. Like I think, I'm not going to sit here and say that their window is closed, but it's started. It's definitely more on the closing side than the continuation of it being open.
I mean, to answer your question,
open, yes.
The only way you can expect this team to be meaningfully better next season than they were this season is from internal improvement by the people who are supposed to be the most important players on the team. Because you got great starting pitching this year. Matt Chapman's presumably
Vlad.
Yeah, and Chapman's a free agent, right? So whether he's even back or not is probably its own separate question. You got to replace him.
Yes,
so that's one thing that is working against you for being better. But like this team's not going to spend a massive amount of money. They have a decent amount of money on the books. Springer's on the books for a while. Berrios, Gausman, those people are all under long-term deals. If Vlad Jr. and Bo Bichette are not top 20 players in the AL, then I don't know what this team is supposed to be really, other than what it is right now or variations of this.
Yep.
Right?
I mean,
that's right.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely.
Their lineup has just underachieved like so much because they're.
If the stars have stopped shining and are really more of a twinkle, then this is what's to be expected. This is probably the ceiling.
Yeah.
I mean,
they should be better though. Like they should be better. I think Vladdy having such a huge drop off hurt them immeasurably.
I mean, you can't overstate going from an MVP candidate to a guy with a sub 800 OPS, which is what he was this year, who provides nothing defensively. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That can't be your best player.
What is he, 24?
Won the Gold Glove last year, so please.
There is, I'm not giving up on Vlad. I'm just saying that like his standard of performance since the beginning of last season, 22, has not been anywhere near enough for a guy who's supposed to be the offensive engine of a team, because George Springer cannot be that. They owe him a lot of money. He's not anywhere near that guy. And Bo Bichette's a very good player, but you can't have a guy with a 125 OPS plus be your best offensive player. You just can't.
Whatever Vlad did to recommit himself to get himself back in shape a couple years ago, he needs to. What's that?
Put it back on.
What?
Fatter.
He just needs to take that same focus and recommit himself to whatever he thinks the reasoning behind the drop off is, whatever that may be. Right? He may think it's nothing, and it's just that's the way things go. If so, fantastic. Can't wait to see what 2024 has in store. But if not, take that same focus into the tunnel with you. Take that same focus into the lab with you.
Jay, hey, is the window closed?
No, because I think they can still be a postseason team. And once you get into the postseason, cliche, anything can happen, all that sort of stuff. But I think I envisioned this core and this team cresting into a championship window, like a real championship window. And I think my expectations for that are permanently changed. I don't think this team's going to get there. I think it can win 82 to 90 games in the medium term per season. I just don't think it's got greatness in it at this point, unless things change dramatically with its key players.
That ain't great.
And I think they're also in a really hard spot in the division too, because the Yankees will come, the Red Sox will come, and right now their core looks a lot less impressive than the Orioles and what's coming for the Orioles too. So you might be behind the ball over the next half decade for as many as 3 teams, and that doesn't even count the Rays, who are just going to do what they do. So this could be a really disappointing half-decade run for the Blue Jays if that's the way this goes.
I had the Blue Jays in the World Series this year before the season started. That was my World Series pick, Padres Blue Jays.
With a Cy Young.
We all make mistakes.
It was a bad pick. I don't think, is anyone on the podcast still in it for their preseason World Series pick?
Braves.
I would have to be reminded about what mine was, to be honest.
Jake, do we know those?
I'll pull it up right now.
Yeah. I'm just curious if anyone else looks like an asshole. Or
I probably got cute too.
Well, I mean, that's what those are for. I mean, because it's easy to pick it's easy to pick chalk. It's fun to try to just predict a potential crazy unfolding story.
Well, some of us on this podcast had Charlie Montoyo still managing the team at the beginning of the season,
right? And hey, who's to say that couldn't have been a better result,
right?
Hey,
Charlie Montoyo. Hey, Berrios is still fucking pitching if old Chucky Moe is pushing the 1s and 2s.
It's time to bring him back. Yeah.
That was a wild pick. That was
ballsy pick.
Yeah.
I think they should just do what they always do when they run out of ideas, which is to bring Cito Gaston back.
Yeah.
How old Cito? He's 79 years old. Let's do this.
Yeah. Get Jack McKeon in the dugout. He could get the Jays to the playoffs. I'm trying to get to the fridge to drink some Blue Moons, though.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Even under the bright lights of the playoffs, Blue Moon Belgian-style wheat ale is the beer that's made brighter. Blue Moon was born in a ballpark for us baseball fans, first brewed at Coors Field in Denver, Colorado. From its bold, refreshing flavor to its beautiful, bright color, Blue Moon is as iconic as America's pastime. Dallas, how many Blue Moons are you going to be drinking during the division series?
I had 13 today, I believe. 13 or 14 today.
Okay.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, the division series is going to get aggressive.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that for you.
I don't think we can officially endorse 14, though.
Well, then over the course of 12 hours.
Right. Yeah, that's responsible.
Or is that
No, that's responsible.
No, that's good. Yeah, it's way to pace yourself, dog.
Yeah. Jake, you know what to do.
With its refreshing flavor with Valencia orange peel for a subtle sweetness and hints of coriander. Blue Moon Belgian-style wheat ale is a one-of-a-kind beer that's made brighter. It's carefully crafted and full-flavored with refreshing notes and a smooth, creamy finish. Blue Moon was brewed by baseball, so it's the perfect match for the playoffs. The crack of the beer, the pour, the first sip of that bold flavor, Blue Moon always feels like a special occasion, best served with its signature orange garnish to showcase its beautiful bright color. A beer this good only comes around once in a blue moon, but you can enjoy it all through the playoffs. Brighten up the baseball playoffs with Blue Moon Belgian-style wheat ale. It's a one-of-a-kind every time. Check out shop.bluemoonbrewingcompany.com for fresh baseball merch and visit get.bluemoonbeer.com/rocket to find Blue Moon delivery options. That is get.bluemoonbeer.com/rocket. Blue Moon, made brighter, celebrate responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado Ale. You're all about to learn something today.
What's that?
You guys, the listeners, you're all about to learn something.
Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know?
This is the DBacks home run song. You didn't know that.
Oh, we all knew that.
Joe, you didn't know that.
Yeah, we all knew.
No, you didn't. Dallas had no idea. Jake knew, but that doesn't count. He knows all the home run songs. I like this fucking song. I'm surprised that they should have like a little in there. I needed a snake hiss. They need to. Every home run song should have like a personal touch to it.
It's not hissy enough for you.
Yeah, no, I need some hissing in there. How do we get in touch with the DBacks to add some hissing to their home run song?
You guys don't have enough hiss.
Yeah, like the Astros have like the train, like the Twins have like the air raid siren because they're the Bomba Squad. The Phillies have the bell. The Rangers have Kid Rock.
I don't feel a great deal of urgency to do much with that song.
I mean, I just need more hissing is all.
Yeah.
Like, let me get in like the spirit. Like, imagine like Christmas without Christmas music, you know?
Can I go first on this series?
Please.
Because this is my favorite one for sure in terms of the results. Because it takes everything you think you know about baseball and just says you don't know fucking shit. Because the Brewers, all right, not for Joey. Joey knew it all along. But so Brandon Pfaadt was bad, right? In game one, was out after like 2 2/3. Corbin Burns, you're like, all right, he's all set up now. He's got the lead, the ace.
Not great.
Doesn't deliver, right? You have the Brewers spend the entire season as arguably the best bullpen in baseball, and they were definitely that down the stretch. And what do you have instead? You have what I think is one of the stories from the first round of the playoffs, which is the Diamondbacks bullpen. 9 1/3 innings, 0 runs, 3 walks, 11 strikeouts over those first 2 games. Obviously, it was most notable in game 1 after Pfaadt's early exit, but just absolutely delivered for them. And then maybe the craziest stat, the D-backs hit 227 and the Brewers hit 309 in this series. Which of those teams won the game?
What the D-backs hit with runners in scoring position?
Well, it was more.
They homered.
It was more that the D-backs homered. They had 4 homers to the Brewers 1, but that's just wild. 80 points split in batting average. I don't know, man. I just thought this was great that the Diamondbacks relief pitchers in particular were just like, you might not have given us any respect all season. We've actually been good for the last month and a half, and we're going to be fucking dominant in this series. 9 1/3 across 7 different guys. It was great.
Who closed it out? Fucking Seawald, right?
Yeah.
Boom, baby. Yeah.
And how much of that is just the Brewers having no hitting? Because that was their Achilles heel. I looked passing in the eye. Said, "You're going with these guys."
I mean, I think it's certainly part of it. I think
they don't have bats.
Yeah. But everyone talked about their pitching. I mean, the Brandon Woodruff thing. Woodruff. We didn't factor that in when we made our predictions. We didn't have that information at the time.
Yeah, that hurts.
Yeah.
But Peralta
so I won't be held responsible.
But
Peralta was just he was good.
And Peralta had been dominant down the stretch this season. And it's just like, yes, would you rather have Woodruff? Sure, I guess. But the Brewers, to me, it's a no excuses situation for them, in my opinion, because if you have Burns, Peralta set up, you should still be able to handle the series. And honestly, listen, you got to win game 1 in this one. And Corbin Burns really didn't fucking show up in that regard. And I think Joey's right that ultimately the Brewers offense was what let them down, but Burns is supposed
showed up.
Burns is supposed to be your guy. And
even though the Corbin Burns start, Corbin Carroll got to him first. And I was like, that's the one guy in that lineup you can't let beat you. And then boom, the next dude fucking back-to-back homers. And it's like, all right, I guess we're not getting vintage Corbin Burns today.
Well, and that's another great thing too, is that in his first taste of the postseason, Corbin Carroll fucking showed out 2 hits in both games. And I think like that's what I'm most excited about I thought the Brewers would win for sure. And I thought they have more World Series equity with that starting pitching. But the cool thing about the Diamondbacks advancing is that it gives Corbin Carroll a potential runway to really break onto the national stage and be, maybe the breakout young star that every postseason seems to feature. They need to go deeper than just the DS for that to happen. But he's off to a great start, and I think that would be pretty cool for baseball too.
Did Did anyone pick the D?
I did.
Joey did.
Oh,
on, man.
Joe, go ahead.
I
Go ahead.
told
The
you.
floor
I
is
said,
yours, Joe.
watch out for Corbin Carroll. Watch out for Ketel Marte. They went back to back.
They both went out.
I even think I predicted an Alec Thomas home run for game 1. It happened in game 2, but I think I predicted that. If I just made that up, that's a weird thing to make up. I predicted
Dude, that'd
Alec
be
Thomas
awesome
to
if
hit a
you
home
predicted
run.
that.
You gave the D-backs there.
And you know what else? You know else who showed out? Evan Longoria, man. On
That was
defense.
Great
play.
defensive effort. Great defensive effort, Longo.
Yeah,
He beat the camera to the ball.
brother. He's been out there a long time.
Laying out.
And that's a young team. A guy like that, he's probably giving them so much wisdom and power.
Him and Donaldson. They had a couple oldies over there at third base.
Yeah, JD's showing out too.
Mm-hmm. The defense, still picking it over there at third base.
Bomb.
And Corbin Carroll, man, he doesn't make any. That little guy, just that home run was like fucking.
It was almost like 450.
I thought it was 500 feet. I was like, holy shit.
I think it was 446 maybe.
Corbin Carroll has done a disservice by not looking cool.
Yeah. He has got a massive head.
He's got a sweet headband. You don't like the headband?
If you put
No
that
headband
skill
guy?
set on a dude who looked cooler than him, it would be just like fucking instant stardom. Like,
Come on, Jay. You're not a headband guy?
I personally don't care how he looks. I just think it's holding him back.
Mm.
People have said that about me. People have said that about me for 38 years too, and I haven't done anything about it. But maybe he can do something about it. He's got all those.
What do you
millions.
think he could do to be cooler looking?
Dye his hair, dude. Go red. D-backs red, baby. Mohawk.
I like that idea.
Purple hair?
Maybe a thicker mustache.
Yeah.
Longer hair?
Yeah, longer red Diamondback snake hair.
You know what he should do? The Hulk Hogan. If he had the jet black beard, but he bleached the handlebars, that would be pretty cool.
He should do like he should get his hair.
No.
He should get his hair like braided so that it looks like scales in the back.
No, he'd look like Predator.
That's exactly what I was going for. Yes, that's the image I had in my head. Yeah, Predator.
Yeah, he would look like Predator. Like he would look like Predator.
So I think all right. I'm glad we discussed this because this was important. So Predator haircut.
Yeah.
For Corbin Carroll
and Hulk Hogan facial hair.
And Hulk Hogan.
No, nobody wants Hulk Hogan facial hair. Quit trying to get him to dash the or to dye the bars. Dude.
He's got. I feel like that's the move. You want to be cool or not?
No,
no
you
one
want
was cooler than Hollywood Hulk Hogan in the 90s.
Well, I was gonna say you're looking for NWO Hogan.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Yeah, I mean he was cool.
I mean, I'm not arguing that he was cool. I'm just saying we don't need that. I think the Predator hair takes care of it.
You know what we do need?
Tell me right now. Tell me immediately.
Some predictions.
Ooh,
we do need some predictions. We do need some.
My God, I mean, are these rough off? I mean, just very early, very, very early. Can't be held accountable for these predictions.
Well, Jake, when are we recording again?
So the plan was to not record until after game 2 of the division series, but obviously no game 3s kind of throws things up in the air.
Because we don't know pitching matchups. We don't know nothing.
Rosters aren't even set, right?
Yeah. Do you think should we wait for that and do a quick predictions pod, or should we just submit them to put on a graphic? What should we do, Jake?
If we want to hop on tomorrow, because we're not gonna be able to do it Friday because of travel. But I mean, if we want to wait till tomorrow afternoon, if we have more info, we could do a quick 20-minute.
When do they have to set the rosters by? Probably Friday, right?
Yeah, the day before first game. Yeah, Friday.
All right.
Actually,
I mean,
it might-
if we're
it's a-
traveling and we can't do it, then we'll throw them on a graphic. We'll text them over and whatever.
All right, that works.
Unless someone has the balls to do it blind.
I mean, I know what I'm fucking doing.
Yeah, we can do it.
We don't have
Oh,
to,
you
but
wanna
I
do
just
We
I know.
we know what it looks like. I'm pretty. I think I know where I'm going.
I mean, if Carlos Correa's fucking hand is broken, I don't know how that affects
Right.
the.
Well, if the plantar Fasciatus is acting up again. Then, Joe, are you off the Twins?
Max Scherzer being on a roster versus not being on a roster is kind of a scale tipper a little bit.
A little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Little bit.
Yeah. We can adjust if we have to. But for now, Twins-Astros. The 3-seed Twins advance past the Blue Jays to face the 2-seed Houston Astros on the American League side. Joe, who you got?
Twins versus the Astros.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see Minnesota these past couple days?
Yeah, I did.
Are you telling me that's not a team that's going to make some noise? I think wow. The floodgates have opened.
Wow.
You get one, you get two, you get more playoff games. 2 days than you did in 17 years.
Yeah.
Uh,
I like the Twins. And it upset 7 games.
Wow.
7 games.
It's best of 5, though.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to pull off.
Yeah.
Joe thinks it's going to be such great baseball. Like, fuck it, let's throw 2 more in there and see where we're at.
Let it roll. Let it ride.
You just really never know. It's the playoffs. Anything can happen. That was my gut feeling. Better starting pitching too.
So who do you got?
The fucking Twins in 7.
Twins in 7 for Joe. Dallas?
I'm going to go with the Astros in 6. Joseph. I'm going Astros in... I'm going to go Astros in 5.
Okay.
I feel like the Twins can sneak a couple of them out.
Jay?
The one thing that scares me is the Twins. Scares me for the Astros is the Twins. Twins got some left-handed options in that lineup. The Astros, not that it's really mattered per se, but their bullpen is extremely right-handed. They got one lefty down there in that bullpen in Houston.
Twins will pinch hit you to death, baby.
Well, like the Twins, if they're facing a right-hander, I believe the Twins are featuring 6 left-handers if they need to, right? 1, 2. Who am I thinking? What's the kid's name? Julian?
Who cares?
I mean, I'm trying to think, of left-handers. Yeah.
Jay?
Go ahead, Jay.
Well, I mean, it's obvious at this point, isn't it? I'm a Minnesota man. I'm a Twin Cities boy. I'm a son of St. Paul. They've embraced me since I rode with them in the wild card round, and I don't have a cowboy hat. I need to figure out what the Minnesota equivalent of that is, but I'm riding with the Twins.
Wow.
Upending the defending champions.
How many?
4. It's going to be a nice 3-1 kind of gentleman sweep.
Wow.
Oh yeah?
What?
Oh yeah?
Can I take a second to think?
I mean, you've had many seconds to think. I've gone, Joey's gone, Jay Hay's gone.
A lot of great arguments, a lot of good point of views.
I think people are really sleeping on this Twins bullpen here. Or maybe they're awake to it now after seeing that series
After
against
seeing
Toronto.
107-mile-per-hour sinkers on their TV.
Splinkers.
Like crazy.
Those are splinkers.
Yeah. Give me Twins in 5.
Twins in 5. Am I the only dude going Astros?
I mean, it's just Dallas likes to be the contrarian, likes to go with the upsets, likes to pick the underdogs, so doesn't surprise me, but this Twins team's just different, man.
Apparently so. Apparently so.
I was pleasantly surprised to see how lit it was. It seems like Minnesota is really like into this team more than past Twins teams. Like this one seemed a little more personal with the big losing streak. It seemed a lot more. I guess they had way more to cheer about. seeing they haven't won a game in 17 years, but they're fired up.
Boys are fired
So
up.
am I.
Boys are fired up.
The Rangers and the Orioles. Joseph.
Rangers versus Orioles, man. Like I said, I've doubted the Rangers all year. I'm not afraid of a cowboy. They call me a cowboy killer where I come from because
Wow.
I don't play with that kind of shit.
Jesus.
But yeah, sorry, Texas Rangers. I'm staying on the bandwagon. You proved me wrong in the past, but I'm going with the O's.
Wow. How many?
Orioles in 4. I like the Orioles in 4. I like Grayson Rodriguez. I think their bullpen is going to hold up. I know they don't have Felix, but I think they're good enough without Felix, and they got a lot of good hitters in the lineup. Love the lineup. And Texas Rangers, that bullpen is so shit. And the first 2 games are great, but like you got 7 innings out of both starters. That ain't gonna happen. That ain't gonna happen every time. That's rare nowadays.
Mm-hmm. Dallas.
I feel like the Texas lineup could be hitting their stride at just the right time.
Cowboy.
I'm gonna go Texas. I'm gonna go Texas in 5 though, because I think the Baltimore Orioles make it interesting for the reasons that Joey pointed out about the pitching situation.
Mm-hmm. It's a good pick. J.A.
I'm going Baltimore.
Baltimore?
Yep. I talked about why earlier enough. So I'm going with the Orioles.
And how many you said?
5.
5.
Who are you going with?
Yeah, who are you going with?
Me?
You have any? Which way you leaning?
For this series?
It's close.
Yeah.
It seems like it could be coin flip.
Cowboy.
What a dumb fucking question, man. Whew. Now this series, you want to talk about a series where you got 2 bulls going head to head, locking horns.
Well, I'm packing up my
No disrespect to them Baltimore Orioles. I love watching them. Would love to take in a game at Baltimore. But at the end of the day, it's going to be them Rangers again, boy. No one's respecting the Rangers in this series. Well, guess what? They're going to get their respect right here. Jordan Montgomery, Nathan Eovaldi, maybe Scherzer, shit, I don't know. Great Dane Dunning, Adolis Garcia, Josh, don't call me Jung Young. It's gonna be them Rangers. Rangers in 4. We're gonna give you a little sympathy game in this one. But it's gonna be them Rangers in 4. On to the National League. I don't think anyone's picking. Is anyone picking the D-backs? D-backs Dodgers?
No.
Is anyone picking the D-backs?
No.
Joe?
I'm going the D-backs. Play the snake sound.
What? Oh my god! What the fuck, dude? You're going with How many you got the D-backs winning this series?
5 games.
5 games. D-backs in 5.
Yep. You know,
wow.
Saying Dodgers teams have passed. They've dealt with some off the field issues. Starting pitching isn't really there like it has been.
Okay.
And the D-backs, I just like Corbin Carroll and I like the lineup. Not the line. I don't like the lineup. I like.
All right.
I like the lineup enough.
Actually, correct.
But I think their strength is their top two. And in a 5-game series, you got a good top two. You can make some noise, surprise some people. And Zach Gallen and Mr. Merrill Kelly, those two fuckers, man, they can line up with the best of them.
Dallas?
What, Dodgers, DBacks?
Dodgers and how many?
I mean, probably Dodgers in 3.
Wow. Disrespect. Jay?
Yep, I'm with D. Clean sweep, baby.
Wow. I'll go Dodgers in 4.
But you gotta pump it up.
Pathetic.
You gotta pump it up.
And then the big one. It's the big one. The matchup you've all been waiting to see. It's the Phils and the Braves. Best of 5. The heavy World Series favorite Atlanta Braves are going up against arguably the team with the most momentum in the whole entire tournament, the Philadelphia Phillies. Joe, you got the Braves in how many?
I got my rally towel right here, brother.
Mm-hmm.
I'm lighting it.
Oh, shit. Oh,
Phillies are going down in fucking 4 games.
Yeah.
4 games. First to Atlanta,
Braves
takes 2.
go.
And then going to the bank. We'll give them one at the bank. Okay, they get pumped up. Okay, Schwarber, leadoff home run, game 3. Good job. But then game 4, we'll shut them down with Strider at the bank for revenge.
Okay.
I'm with Joe. Bravos in 4.
Braves in 4. Jay?
Braves in 5.
Ooh-wee. It's a red October, Jared.
I mean, if we're going to Atlanta, I'm sure as shit not gonna. I ain't no moron. Yeah,
Jared,
who'd you
Jared,
pick?
you have the balls?
I picked you guys.
Do you have the balls, Jared? Do you have the fucking balls right now to take all that momentum you're talking about and roll on into the battery in Atlanta with the Phillies in tow? You have the balls?
Nope. Braves in 5, baby. Sure don't. It's going to be a dogfight between those two teams. It's going to be a battle to the end. But it's going to be the Braves.
Oh, no brotherly love. That's unfortunate.
No, it's going to be a dogfight. I got to be in a dogfight at least. But got to pick the Braves. Come on. It's one of the best lineups of all time. Did you know that?
Yeah, fucking 27 Yankees.
Check the WRC plus.
Check it.
It's the record.
It's the same. Mm-hmm.
Them boys can slug. And Marcelo Zuna had 2 home runs today in the practice game.
Oh, shit.
Oh, great. Super.
Didn't Max Fried threw a shutout inning or something yesterday?
5 innings.
I saw that.
5 innings.
5 innings.
With the
Look at that.
Band-Aid on. Just keeping it protected.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Okay. That's the wrap up. That's the look ahead. Those are the predictions. Wheels up for Atlanta on Friday. We will be at. I don't know why I can't keep track of this. We'll be at game 1.
At game 1.
It'll be at game 1.
We're going to be in game 1,
two.
dude. We're going to be
in game 1. Yeah. And game 2 will be at Atlanta live in the Battery, right?
Don't tell Jared he can be in the game because he's been on a Major League Baseball field while a play has actually unfolded. So he might believe that he's going to be a part of the game. Don't do that.
That is true. I have done that. Down in Dunedin. Yep, been there, done that.
Done eating that.
Yeah. All right, those are the picks. Enjoy your next 2 days off. I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do tomorrow. Everyone say I had tweeted that. I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do tomorrow. Everyone's like, oh, what about tomorrow and Friday? I'm like, well, Friday I know I'm going to Atlanta, but tomorrow that's gonna be weird. No baseball, gonna hate it. But maybe I'll take my trash out. I have maggots growing in my trash.
Good day to take the trash out.
Yeah,
That's a
good thing there are no.
You're gonna need to. Yeah.
Handle that.
You're gonna
Yeah.
need to disinfect.
Handle that.
Especially before you go out of town.
Yeah.
Oh no, they've been in there for like a while.
That's
They're
where
like
that's where
adults.
flies come from, right?
Yeah, no, that's Well, I mean, the barrels are outside. I've got to kill them with bleach and things and boiling hot water, I'm told.
Yeah, you know what you should do is you should pour bleach and ammonia into the trash can and just stick your and watch it closely for a long time and make sure that they don't climb out. Make sure everything falls in.
Capture them. Okay. Take them on the plane. Just for
take them on the plane.
Just for shits and gigs. Yo, you see it next to a guy. Say, look,
take care
look
of
what
it.
I got. Pull it out.
I'm taking care of it. That's gonna be my day tomorrow.
Everybody at the bar will be
tomorrow.
like, "Oh, cool. Those are your maggots."
Look what I got. Bugs.
Check out my
Will be
mags.
huge
You guys
hits.
have mags.
Yeah, the ladies will love that. They love that. At the
Speaking
bar.
of huge hits,
Cowboy.
Oh, those maggots are fly.
be back this weekend to talk about them game ones, them game twos, them series leads, them series splits. We want to thank you for watching. We want to thank you for listening.
Well, I'm packing up my game and I'm
We'll see you next time.
west where real women come
Wow.
some fake breasts, find a nest in the hills, chill like Flint.